Mr. Kevin Nash. So welcome to the green room.
This is a proper green room. We got carpet and everything.
Well, this was a Home Depot, probably is the best equivalent.
Yeah,
So
that's what he was telling me.
you're currently sitting in the garden centre. Hence the green room.
Nice.
But it's not too bad. We've got the heater on. Finally, it's working.
No, it was when I walked in here earlier. It was a little chilly. It's a little colder here than in Florida. So.
Just a
Yeah,
touch.
I got on a plane that was 71. What was that Celsius?
Who's so good at maths? 71 Fahrenheit? Who's got Google? Leah's got Google. You're on your phone, you get caught.
What is that? It'd be
32, I'm going to go with 32 as a guess.
32 would be 64, so we wouldn't have to be more than that.
That's one it is, but
It was 70, 21.6. Okay. I don't know. I've not figured that out yet.
I thought you were good at maths.
Count money.
So of course we're here with Kevin Nash. We're going to talk through some things. You guys are all going to get an opportunity to get involved, ask some questions as well. There's some interesting ones beforehand, like were you driving the white Hummer?
Was I driving the white Hummer?
Mark died.
I don't think they allow us to drive intoxicated. I think most of that 2 years of nitro, everybody in the back was pretty intoxicated. I'm sure Ellis drove it. Storyline wise, I think it was supposed to be Macho, if I recall. I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
So basically, we just want to take it back. I mean, I was actually quite surprised today to find out that when the introduction of Diesel happened, you were 35 years old. I didn't realize. Obviously, Diesel was a character I grew up with.
Diesel was 30. How old was Diesel? 33.
33,
Yeah.
which is sort of a little bit later on that I had in my head. Of course, a lot of wrestlers they're a little bit ageless because they are characters at the end of the day. But when did you get in? What age did you start training at then? Did you get into it a little later?
28.
You were 28, and that was in Detroit?
No, it was in Atlanta.
In Atlanta?
Yeah.
And training-wise, back in the end, was it a lot of bumps? Was it a lot of hard falls? A lot
was
of
that old school.
Indian squats?
Yeah, 500 Hindus, run the ropes, and then you get in the corners. And as I said, I took more bumps probably in the first 6 months of wrestling camp than I did my entire career. That's why I used they used to say when I was young, I boxed when I was a kid. And the guy that trained me said that as a pro boxer that you have 3 minutes. So if you get in a fight and you get knocked out the first fight and you're out for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you're done. And if anybody ever followed Tyson's career, Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas and he was out for over 3 minutes. He never came back. So that was I took that to chin in wrestling that, after being slammed, 85 times a night, I figured I pretty much had enough of that. I still bumped a lot for as big as I was, I think.
Yeah.
For somebody as lazy as me. That's always my moniker is I'm lazy.
I wouldn't say lazy. I think there was a match I was watching. It was the win against Goldberg, and I just noted because it was like, all right, first championship win. I'm going to talk about that. But it was 6 minutes with entrances before you touched each other, And then by the time 8 minutes 30 had rolled around, the only things that we'd seen were 2 lockups and a suplex. And I was just like, everyone in the arena was enthralled. I was enthralled. Like, this is awesome, because it was just all tension. So you don't need to bump all over the place crazy for 20 minutes.
That's that's kind of the gift of being able to feel the people. Like I watch guys now, and there's so many times like they do something, and the crowd you can actually even turn the sound off, and you can just see the reaction of the people. The people are still up, over an incredible high spot, yet the guys are already getting up off the ground to do something else instead of letting that resonate and go to something else. And, but I don't understand why. A great example is Rey Mysterio. Rey will be in Scotland on Sunday. And I saw Ray maybe a couple months ago, and Ray's as beat up as I am, with his knees and everything else. And just like he did that. Now you watch Rey Mysterio work, and he works like Hawk or Animal from the Road Warriors. He was super strong style. He actually took him a while to learn. Like, dude, you only got so much in you. So.
You looking forward to Sunday?
Looking forward to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to
the right answer.
Every day on earth is a blessing. So, especially in my era when 37 was old. There was a lot of guys that would come in the locker room on a Friday night. On Saturday night, there was a guy missing. So I came up in a different era. So. Yeah, I drink my wine, that's about it.
We made sure there was red wine. Doing research online, I was like, red wine. Get the red
wine. It's good for your heart.
Yeah. And do you look after yourself then now? Is there a different regime with like health and eating and everything like that there? Doctors telling you to...
No, I just had my blood done the other, I had my blood done 7 or 8 weeks ago, and the doctor was amazed. He said, God, you're going to live to be 100. I said, not on these knees. I'm actually getting my knee replaced December 6th. So finally, I'm going to, you guys remember a show called Gunsmoke? Yes.
I know Gunsmoke.
Remember that? I remember that, Chester, the guy that had that limp. I won't have that limp anymore. The doctor's going to straighten. So maybe I got another run in me. I don't know.
Well, that ties in. We had a question earlier. If you were going to get a run, who would you go against currently now?
If I got it, who could carry me? I think I'd like to work against Rollins. He'd be a good one.
And what is it about Rollins? Why Rollins?
He could work around me.
You see quite a lot of running off the ropes, just hitting off you.
Yeah, he could do a lot. I watched him with Ken. I watched him have Kane. Him and Kane had a match maybe 3 weeks ago on Raw, and Kane gave him nothing. Gave him nothing. I said, God, I'd give him more than that. Kane didn't even leave his feet. I was just amazed. I'm just like, wow. Like, age is finally catching up to Glenn. At least, if you get to that point in your career where I was at a show a couple months ago, and Jerry Lawler wrestled Terry Funk. So I was just like, and the guy said, that brought me in said, all you gotta do is sign autographs, come out, cut a promo at the beginning of the show, and you can go home. Or you go to the next town. It was like, 2.5 hour drive to Charlotte. But I said, I think staying around and watching Lawler and Funk might be worth it. So finally, they put about, which seemed like a year and a half in, but it was probably about 8 minutes. And Lawler went for the pile driver, and they botched it, and it ended up that Lawler just kind of sat with Funk's head between his knees, and Terry's feet were on the mat. It just looked like this. I was surprised that somebody didn't press charges. I mean, it just didn't look right. It's just like, and the people kind of, you know, and the thing that's great with the network is you go to one of these, you know, independent shows, and the kids are all 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and they all know, you know, everything you did because they watch it on the network. Because their dads influence them. The dad said, "Well, this is what I grew up on. Watch this." So you know they watch your stuff. And I know those kids sat there and just went like, "No." Like, there's no way you can like spin this and make me believe this was, you know. But it was actually pretty entertaining. The psychology was great. It just, you know, it's like, in my mind, like I can still move fast. And then I watched the match back they had last December, and I'm like, looks like I'm in like at the beach against deep sand. You know, the movement's the same. It's just a lot. Yeah, it's very labored. So,
Do you think the obviously you're talking about psychology there, and the two legends are going to know how to work and how to work around their inability to do what they used to do. I think psychology's not as potent.
oh yeah, I really like. There's so many times guys will say to me, they'll say, you know, at you know larger independent shows, they'll say, "Watch my match," and I'll say, "Sure." I'll sit there and diligently watch their match, and then I'll say, and they come back to go, "Well, what'd you think?" I said, "Well, what story were you telling me?" "What do you mean?" "Well, what was the story? Was it David and Goliath? Was it, you know, two baby faces that one has to turn heel? Like, what was the story besides High Spot Fest?" "Oh, pretty much a high spot fest." "Okay, that's probably why I didn't get it." "Damn it, Chris.
You're so lucky that's you and nobody else.
You're so lucky you got a fanny pack on. That's it's like the Holy Grail. I know who's got the gimmicks." I'm gonna bring the. You know what? I don't think we've lost a wrestler since they outlawed the fanny pack. You can't carry pills. That's one of the greatest things ever. It was like somebody say, "Why do all you wrestlers have those fanny packs?" And the boys would be like, "Did you ever try carrying 120 Somas and 120 Vicodin in your pocket?" Sound like a Mexican band playing. The good old days.
Good old days. There was a cracking story I was listening to online, and I don't want to repeat too much stuff of what I've heard, but it was about Rick Rude. Can you roll a joint?
Oh yeah.
You're like, yeah, I can roll a joint.
That's it. He said, "Can you roll a joint?" Because you know, Rude had fingers like garden hoses. You know, he'd roll and it'd be like a Zeppelin. You know, it'd be like the middle of it'd be like that big around. And, you know, and he said to me, he says, "Ben Man, can you roll a joint?" I said, "Yeah, I can roll a joint. I grew up in Detroit." He said, "Roll a couple." So I roll a couple. Of course, you know, he hasn't cleaned it. This is back when, you know, before that hydroponic. I don't know anything about the new stuff, but I've heard that it doesn't have seeds or stems. Thus, there's no reason to have a double vinyl album anymore, because that's the only reason those things were there for. That Frampton Comes Alive, there was always a good half ounce laying in that thing. It's just Mexican pressed weed. that on?
Yeah. There's one over there. There's one back there. We're not getting away from it tonight.
Yeah, I'm turning towards 59 in next July, so I don't think they'll be calling me back anytime soon. They know that. Like the last time they brought me back, for a run, and I had everybody drinking wine and staying in the bus till 4 in the morning. And Paul said, "This isn't exactly what I had in mind." I said, "I thought you wanted me to turn them into wrestlers. My bad."
I mean, like, whenever you start at 28, you're slightly older. You just fit sort of kind of straight into that kind of road culture and the drinking and having fun with the guys. And
yeah, I was an athlete my whole life, so just, you know.
Time to relax.
Yeah.
Have some fun.
But it was different too when I went. I mean, I remember the first locker room I walked into. I couldn't even imagine walking into a WWE locker room and there being 8 guys smoking cigarettes. But that was just like, you play cards, kid. No, I didn't spend that much time in prison. It was like Sing Sing. Everybody was 300 pounds. Yeah, everybody was, on some kind of enhancement of some sort. So.
Strange times walking into that.
Yeah. Tell you one thing though, man, you walk in anywhere. I remember when the football players came to the WWF, and we had that match. Our guys dwarfed the football players. Bigger dudes, more gas.
So who was the biggest dude you came up against? Being a big man yourself.
The biggest,
was there anybody outside of what we saw on TV or?
Yoko was, big. People don't realize how Big Show is.
He alarmed me when he walked out of the Odyssey, the local arena, because that was the first time I saw him when he walks out through the entrance. And because you do wrestling, you kind of understand what size entrances are and the widths and things. And he walked out and you're like, oh my God, he's big.
He doesn't register like when you watch him on TV. It's just like, actually somebody sent me a picture the other day of me and him, and we're reversing an Irish whip, and I'm actually reversing, or he's reversing me, and he's kind of bent, and he was in shape. He was, this is probably his second year at WCW. And it's just like, and I'm probably 345 in the picture, and I look like I'm like 210. Like he's, just the size of his head alone. It's like, he's a big, that's the biggest human. And I remember one time we were checking into a hotel on Long Island. It had Nassau Coliseum. The New York Islanders used to play out there. And it was one of those places where if you were a babyface, it was like the last place on earth you wanted to work was on Long Island. Because they were just beyond assholes. They just took that New York City thing and just took it out on the island and just, I don't know if it morphed but just it was horrible. The only time that if you hard weighted, like I remember one time Shawn Michaels was wrestling Scott, and I was outside and I gave Scott the stairs, and he slipped on the mat and he hit the steps and he busted himself wide open. And Scott sold it to the floor, and then the referee came, so I kind of walked away like I didn't do anything. Then Scott came up, and his head came up on the other side of the apron. It looked like, he was just juiced. It looked like, a gunshot wound. Very Daily Plaza-ish. And all of a sudden the people got with him because they just saw blood, and it was just like, and it was an easy match. But where was I going with this? Guide me.
New Yorkers.
Oh,
we're assholes.
So
pretty much is where I was sitting in my head.
Yeah, like so the like right next to the arena was a Marriott, and we were checking in, and it was me, Giant, and Steve McMichael. So this guy that was trying to break in with ECW, he was about 6'7", about 310, 315. Fucked with Steve McMichael first. And Steve had already, went through his, football career. I'm sure he paid I always call it the $70,000 punch. Because if you punch somebody, it's going to cost you $60,000-$70,000. That's just the way it is. But there's this, sooner or later in your life, there's that one guy that you just say, yeah, you win. Here's your 70 grand. And he came over and messed with me, and I'd already paid mine in Philadelphia in front of Gino's Steaks 2 years earlier. So I said, I'm not doing anything. And he got over in front of the Giant. He was running his mouth on the Giant. And Paul just kind of looked at him. And the guy got between him and the desk, and he pushed Paul. And Paul threw a punch about that far. And it broke the guy's jaw off the hinges on both sides. And this dark purple blood started shooting out of his mouth, and the guy sold it like on the Hanna-Barbera cartoons when they put the bee's nest on your head. Just kind of run around. The guy sold it in the lobby like that, and he's spitting up this dark, and I heard it, but I didn't see it. And the guy was tall enough that when the security camera, when they ran it back, you couldn't see that Paul had hit him. Of course, we all, me and Steve immediately lied. Oh, sure, sworn statement. It's just perjury. But I just seen him hit him on that short of just that little, and do that much damage. Another time is my infamous, the night I tore my quad, taking a breath.
Just getting that one out of the way early before somebody brought it up.
What's that?
You're just getting that one out of the way early.
Yeah, just get it out of the way, get it out of the way. And, but the thing is like, to this day, if Big Show wasn't in that match, I have no idea how I would have got back to the back, because he picked me up like a baby. I mean, if you ever watch it back, there's a couple. He picked me up, carried me up the gorilla position, down the steps of the gorilla position, and set me on a gurney, and then I did the math, and at that point I was around 340. The difference between me and Paul's weight was greater than the difference between me and Rey Mysterio's weight. Like Paul was that much bigger. He was like 500 pounds. That's
big.
Yeah, 500 pounds is. But the thing is, like God doesn't give like if God would have gave him my like he has no prick gene whatsoever. Paul's just a nice guy. I'm a prick. I mean, I'd killed somebody by now, but. There we go.
The cans are out. And
those are tenants. Is that what those are?
I've
been over here a few times. me and Scott have drank a few of those.
With that, with him being so big, with the genuine punch on the fella, was he good to work with? Was he soft? Was he stiff?
Yeah, he was. But this is the thing that kills me with the psychology. We want to talk back to psychology. Is for a while there, remember his finish was the punch. So it'd be two minutes into a match, and Big Show, Giant, Paul, whatever you want to call him, would get the guy in the corner and chop him 3 times. If you can chop somebody 3 times, can't you punch him once? Like, shouldn't this be over? I'm sitting at home going, am I the only one that's going, this sucks? Like, you can't give Roman Reigns the Superman punch. Because the first time you bump, if he doesn't hit the ropes and hit you with a Superman punch, why didn't he? Is it jackass? You don't want to win? Or is it just fake? Oh, it's fake. Never mind.
She missed the real thing. She missed the total mystery. We had a recent video. The I don't know if you're aware, but we've got a kidnapped poo emoji cushion at this moment. Like, it's freaking ridiculous. But
no, but I'll be on it as soon as I leave. I'll Google search it.
This poo gets stolen, and there was a release video, but it was so well done by the good folks at GG Media who are here with us tonight that it adds a bit of mystery, because you get to look at it and go, how did they pull that off? How did that work? How did that go? And because everybody knows everything about everything and how to do everything, and there's a lot of moves, in my opinion, get away with them. Now it looks so choreographed as the movements go from one end to the next. Do you miss that sort of with the crowd where, is that real? You believe Young Bucks?
I remember the first time we decided that, because it was like me and Scott versus all of WCW when we went there. And we needed something to equalize the odds, because it just didn't make sense. He would bum rush, if this room would bum rush me, I'm dead, But if I have an aluminum baseball bat, I think people would think a lot before, well, yeah, we're gonna get him, but I don't want to be that one of three guys that takes that aluminum baseball bat to the skull. And we went out, and the special effects guy made a really, it gave, but it was rubber, but they put a dowel rod in it where it didn't bend. So when we went out in Charlotte the first time we ever used it, Scott had the real one. And Scott looked at Bischoff and he says, well, they're gonna know that it's fake. And Scott says, this one isn't. He says, when we go down to the ring, I'm gonna hit the stairs. So he went down the ring, middle of the match, he hits the stairs. You hear bam, everybody in the building goes, Jesus, they got aluminum baseball bats. And then I reach over and whack the guy in the back with the fake one, but I don't hit him in the head. I hit him in the back, where you would hit somebody that you didn't want to kill, and people thought that we had real baseball bats. That's just, but it just took two or three people to think on it for 3 minutes to go, okay, how do we do this? And so maybe that's it.
Internet killed it.
Yeah, the internet killed everything.
I'm laughing because that's how I feel. The internet did kill everything.
Internet killed it. I couldn't even.
People are using
all the fun we had on the road with everybody taking films and everything. Oh God, I'd be divorced 7 times.
You're going to take those boxes out one day, bring out the ultimate collection of road films. Tell all.
Actually, this guy wants me to do a book. And I said, half my buddies are dead, and the rest of the guys are already divorced twice. So I'm gonna write some book and bury my last 4 friends. So I can get some more money that I won't spend. I said, yeah, there's no reason to write a book. If I wrote a book, I'd write a nonfiction book, and you'd be able to it'd be more fun for the people to try to figure out whom I'm talking about.
We should get the audience to help you as the theme for that book this evening. You could go away, write it. Next time you come back, present it.
I could actually maybe blog chapters, and they could give me updates on how it's going. So,
You talked there about like the book and about your friends and stuff like that. It was Gary, where's Gary Toner? He's right there. He had a pretty good question earlier on. I didn't actually write it down, but it was worded something like,
Along the lines of, so Sean Malcolm, obviously, back, and Razor had their problems with like addiction and rehab and the rest of it. And Sean Michaels maybe didn't display perfect behaviour throughout various stages of his career. You seem to have always, at least from what fans see, remained fairly grounded and kept your friends sort of in line as you went along. Like, how did you manage to stay so relatively on the straight and narrow while everybody else seemed to veer off at so drastically at points?
You know, I did that, those what are they called, Ancestry.com, one of those things. And my wife did one also. My wife looked like somebody sneezed on a piece of paper. I mean, she had Chinese, I mean, she had... I got a dot on Iceland about that big that's black. I mean, so obviously I'm mostly Nordic. I'm also American Indian, but I'm mostly Nordic, and so it means that's like, then when they break it down, the next, I go Neanderthal, Nordic. So if you're Neanderthal, Nordic, you've been around on this planet probably longer than, of course, anybody. And they say the longer that genetically you've been on the planet, the longer you've been drinking. So obviously, Mike, I have a pretty, they used to call me like Baby Andre because I could drink 6 bottles of wine and get behind me. I got pulled over one night. I drank 41 beers. I got pulled over. All we had to eat was, I don't know if anybody knows what White Castles are. I had 6 White Castle double cheeseburgers. I blew a .049. And the guy says, well, you're halfway there. I'm thinking, so I can drink 80? That's like my limit. 80 beers? As we're going, and I get pulled over because it's snowing out. We're going from from Columbus to Evansville. And it's snowing out, and I'm riding 75 miles an hour. It's 70 miles an hour is the speed limit. Where the road is crested, it's the wind's blowing that, so it's fairly visible. So I'm driving 75 miles an hour. It's on cruise control, and this cop has been following me for like 9 miles, and he just doesn't have the balls to like speed up and go for it. So finally I get off because we got to get beer. And I come over the top of this crest, and there's this Chevron station, and the whole side of it's like, looks like they're gonna build like more pumps, but all they do is have the cement down. And I look at it, and it's just nothing but ice. So I gun it a little bit, and I spin it, and car kind of. And about the time I come to a stop, blue lights come on behind us. I'm like, ugh. I'm thinking to myself, like, now the realization is like, you got a buzz, man. And he goes outside, he says, how many of you had? And this is back when they made this Cadillac in the States. We used to call it the wrestler car. Because between the back seats of the Cadillac was the armrest, and the armrest had this plastic piece that went down so you could put your skis in it. So if you were gonna go skiing, I guess your skis would probably come out about that far from the trunk. But we came to the realization that you could put your cooler directly behind that. So that way your buddies could dig for the beers, and then you pass them around, and you got blue lit. You were just throwing the empties in the trunk anyway, so there was no empties in the car. That's another thing you'll see for the rookies. The rookies in pro wrestling, you say, man, go get some beer, and the guy comes out with bottles. You're like, Jesus. So when we get pulled over, you're gonna be cool with us jamming those bottles up your ass. What? You know, you get cans, you guzzle it, you smash it with your foot, you put it underneath the mat. Oh. So I got out, and the guy, you know, he told me to blow on the thing, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is gonna be bad. And he said, no, and then he said, maybe you should let one of your buddies drive. And the rest of the guys in the car just... I'm like, well, I was gonna go in and get coffee anyway. I said, these guys are tired. I said, my buddy next to me here is diabetic. That always works when your buddy's... He's diabetic, I'm gonna go get him a pimento cheese sandwich. But that was one of those nights. But I think that's it. I don't know. I drove every mile too. Guaranteed money is great, but if you die, it doesn't mean anything. And if you've ever seen Scott Sober is the worst driver on earth. Just Waltman got us almost got us killed up in New York. He tells us, we get up and we're in New Jersey, and it's like white out snowing. We got to go to Binghamton, New York for Raw. This is back when used to, like 94, when you'd run some high school and Raw was an hour long and you do 3 hours of it. So you did an hour live and then 2 hours taped. But nobody thought about the fact that it was in a high school gym with a clock, the size of, here we are live at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But so we had a Chevy Lumina van, and they were very aerodynamic. In front of them looked like a cow catcher. So we're driving. We come over I think the road's like Highway 50 or whatever. We go over this ridge, and as we're going over the ridge, I'm looking at Sean Waltman. I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, it's like, that's black ice. That whole, and next thing you know, we hit it, we start spinning. Jump over the middle of the embankment. Now we're heading right for a semi-truck. I grab the wheel and spin it. As I spin the wheel, he's fighting me, so we only go enough to barely miss the truck, but a car's coming right at us, and he turns, and the car does like Dukes of Hazzard, where it hits the front of the vehicle, and this car turns and lands, and we're watching it, and like it was like slow motion, like slide on the top of it. It's upside down. It's sliding down the road, and just as I look up, there's a tree as wide as from me to him across. We plow right into this thing. Bam! I looked at him. I said, "Dude," I said, "you told me you lived in Minnesota. Like, how do you not know how to drive in the snow?" I said, "Detroit, I mean, anybody knows you don't go over an embankment like that. It's it's why they say the top of the bridge freezes first." Well, I've only been in Minnesota for 7 months. I lived in Florida my whole life. Nice tidbit.
What was the crazier road? What was the crazier locker room? WCW or WWE? WWF.
WCW locker room was insane. I mean, I couldn't wait to get to TV just so we could start drinking. I mean, we drank from this. We'd go to catering, eat, and then go sit in Hogan and Mach's locker room and drink. That's all we did. And just go out and do our couple segments, and
there you go.
If we got too drunk, we just look at Hulk and go, "Tell him." Tell him, go ahead, Terry, tell him. Sorry, it doesn't work for me, brother. We're not bumping tonight, see? The creative control guy said so.
And dude, like, because there's all the accusations and the shit you read online about Kevin Nash booking this and WCW and stuff like that there, and like, yeah.
Yeah, shit. I got as much to say as Trump does. Which ain't much. I missed the news. What that jackass do today? Anything?
Yesterday.
How do you guys feel about him?
He's an asshole.
Does it not scare the shit? Does it not scare the shit out of you? That this, I mean, I don't know. He looks like Triple G right here. Yeah. Don't you think so? The fighter, the boxer?
Yeah.
It is similar. I thought you got robbed in that last fight.
I'm gonna like Chris to ask you a question because he's
Thanks very much, Andy.
he's been torturing me for weeks.
It's me?
Yeah.
Okay. What I really want to say, I'm in the minority. Are the Click ever going to do anything in an angle on screen? Because I just want to fucking see it. Before I die, I want to see it.
I wouldn't worry about you dying. I'd be worried about us. I don't know. I'd like to come back to that whole like Bullet Club crew and beat the shit out of them with some baseball bats.
They are fucking it up for the rest of us, like they are.
They are.
They are. The only thing that this is the only thing that pissed me off, is they call this too sweet. That's called too sweet. It's not called too fucking sweet. Too sweet.
What? She will cry like she literally loves me.
Oh, yeah.
That's too sweet.
You can love them. I love them. You know what? The Young Bucks, I mean, all those guys, I mean, at least when you sit down and you tell them how to work, like, the business, they listen to you. Like, those Young Bucks are over, because, man, they piss everybody off. You know? My whole thing is, when they did this, and they said cease and desist, that'd have been my next shirt. I said, what, Stone Cold has that one? I mean, they just, but I think that's a work too. I think they're just waiting to get brought in. I just think they're heating them up and heating them up.
It suspiciously looks like Cody Rhodes has been sent out. That's the same way, like I called it, Drew Galloway was here just after he got released. I called it then too. Drew looked like he gets sent out to take all the indies back on board to WWE. Tell me I'm right, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, Drew looks awfully good for being on the wellness program. Drew's a star, man.
Absolutely, he was incredible. He was here a couple of times, did seminars and stuff, but he rounded up the entire world of indies and then took them all over to NXT, which is an indie show. Like in my opinion, it looks like an indie show, feels like an indie show, which was smart business, I suppose, was to cater to fans that are going to watch a WWE product that isn't necessarily.
They don't want the glitz and crap of the NXT, because I remember when NXT went to, they had the NXT show before SummerSlam that first year. And it was Sasha Banks versus Bayley was the main event in the NXT show. And like, I went to all three events that weekend, and nobody touched the girls' match. I'm just thinking to myself, like, how is this possible that the girls had the best match out of three shows? But they did, you know? Times are changing.
The thing is, because there's more women for women to wrestle now, whereas before a lot of women would train with men because there weren't any other women to train with, and they had to learn like a man's style of wrestling, whereas now that there's enough women to actually train within classes and groups that they figured out how to do women's wrestling rather than, you know, how to do a match.
Yeah, no, it's, and the girls are, I mean, they're featured, so they get a lot better athlete, you know. They've come a long way from Bull Nakana or whatever her name was. What's that? Nitro Girls. I don't remember anything about
I'm not even going to dive into it. I'm going to wait till later on when he's another bottle of wine in him. Conal Gardner asked, what young talent would you like to manage? And I wanted to precursor that with, would you manage like TV time?
Ooh, I mean, you know, that's you know, people always say, like, would you ever go back and do anything? It's just like, if you work, you know, full time with any of the talent, then it's you basically fly in, you know, Sunday, and then you're there Monday, and then you fly home Tuesday. But if you're, you know, part of the, like, say, you're Ziggler's bodyguard, that means you're on the road 4 nights a week. I don't want to be on the road 4 nights a week. I mean, granted, you know, Spacey fucked up House of Cards, but there's some other shit to watch on Netflix. Just throwing it out there. How about when he came out, right? He said he was gay. I'm like, what? Like 8 years ago, I was like getting some sun in Florida. Somebody skywrote that. Am I wrong? Nobody did. I didn't. Like, he's a great actor. Yeah.
Yes, but I was talking about managing. Managers' roles aren't the same now anyway.
I go off on tangents. You know.
It's all right. We're blaming the flight. There's jet lag.
Yeah.
There's alcohol.
No, it wasn't. I tell you, it's almost like the alcohol Nazis on those planes anymore. Like, I flew over Delta. Delta has this new thing where I sat business class, which is, I mean, the equivalent of, you know, sitting in a dentist chair for comfort. And, but they give you, like, you know, they always used to give you that little glass of wine that was like, you know, like the top of a fucking Listerine gimmick, you know. Can I get another one? Can I get another one? And then the next thing you know, she's got an attitude. You're like, get your cardio in. So, now they have, where they give you the glass of wine and a craft, like a little small 2-glass craft with it, which really makes, I guarantee, fucks their count up. Because they used to be able to say, now it's just like, I kept switching wines. I'd go to the Pinot for a while and back to the French. So you know. Not even the Xanax took me down on this flight. I was just sitting back there like I was Kevin Spacey's manager. Sip on that one.
You all right, Tommy? Reach up there. You got a question for Kevin Nash?
On the spot. How can I make my hairline as good as yours?
What's that? What is that?
So how do you keep a full head of hair? It seems to be the question.
Mine's getting thin, dog.
He hasn't even got hair to get thin. Have you seen this? You're a cheeky boss.
We'll move on to somebody who does have a question.
The thing that matters, though, is you don't have a shit-shaped head. Like, if you had that, like, you ever see guys that go bald and they shave their head, and they actually have those Klingon things on the back of their head. I'd just like to be that fucking dude. It's one thing if you can, or you have like dopey ears, like your ears, you got shark ears like me, they stick to the side of your head. So it's all pluses. See? So I wouldn't worry about it. I didn't look at you and say, that's a fucked up deal. You're welcome.
Put on your Facebook profile.
I can see a Facebook status coming on. Fuck you.
And I like the old school Hulk shirt too, so.
Favorite match of all time, or do they fall into categories?
Favorite match that I've had?
Yeah.
Probably me and Brett in Survivor Series is my favorite. Because we put that together like 20 minutes. And we hadn't worked, I mean, we worked some, but not that much. I actually have like Hell in a Cell with Hunter I liked, simply because I think it may be the only Hell in a Cell that the guys didn't leave the cell. And they thought it'd be the shits, and I told them, no, we're gonna actually do what a cage match is for, is to keep the match inside. Like, if you think I'm jumping off.
What do you think of the Punjabi prison match?
What I could see of it? The only thing missing was them like playing a loop of "This Is the End" by the Doors through the entire. I mean, what the fuck? That good a production, you didn't set that son of a bitch up sometime during the day and shoot it hard camera and go, oh, this sucks. You can't see.
Well,
I could have had great matches. I should have had every one of my matches in one of those. I could have just told you how great it was. Nobody could fucking, I didn't see it. I was first row, I didn't see the thing.
Well, what was your, maybe not what was your favorite, but like throughout all the times, crazy ideas, stuff that didn't make it, stuff that was left on the table, what was like the craziest gimmick match that you've ever heard in like a booking room or actually ended up on a pay-per-view or TV or?
Remember when it was, I think it was Jake versus, I forget who Jake was against, but it was spin the wheel and make a deal. This was a Sting. And I remember like they had like all these great matches and they spun it and it ended up on coal miner's glove, like a pole match. Like, what is a coal miner? Like, is that like, I don't know, like there's like Iron Man's hand and then there's the coal miner hand right behind it. It's a fucking glove. Gardner's glove on a pole match. Baseball mitt on a pole match. That just tells you how fucked up wrestling was like in the 60s. Because that shit was over. Hey, I'm gonna go see that coal miner glove. I think that's what actually made Trump bring the coal industry back. And wanted to see one more coal miner glove match.
So you mentioned Bret Hart there. I was looking up stats earlier, and you took the tag titles off the tag team of Bret Hart and who was it? Goldberg.
Yeah.
What they've got quite documented feelings and stuff. How did that work? Because it was something I didn't know. It was just something I came across today. I was like, Bret Hart and Goldberg, does that work as a tag team? Does that make sense?
They had more heat together over where Goldberg tackled Bret and Bret had the shield, like the steel thing. There was so much heat between them. I think they put those two together to see if they could kind of squell that thing.
Did it give them good chemistry?
No.
No. It's
You
killed
got
a bit.
a technical guy and a guy that spears. So. Not quite the chemistry that Kevin Spacey had with the guy in American Beauty. When he finally comes to the garage and it's raining, that's chemistry. I think that's on Netflix this week. Good comedy, you always go back. Just go back. Just keep wearing that out. As long as you can find something else to make it topical. So.
We'll all be getting
I'm running out of shit. I'm running out of stuff. So.
What was your sort of favorite piece of advice, or what was the most influential piece of advice you could have got, like you had from one of your seniors? Like, you're going to have guys tomorrow, they're going to be asking you bits and pieces, and you're going to be throwing down little things that they can do and stuff. And what was it going through the business?
Lou Albano, Captain Lou, walked up to me one night, smashed on vodka. He says, only two things in this fucking business, real kid: money and the miles. Get your fucking tickets, get your money. Just walked away and I went, what is that? I actually thought about it. I said, there's only two things in this business that are real. It's the money and the miles. And it's just like, yeah. And that's it. Get paid. And don't be on the road 930 days a year. You know, that's the key. The key is to, I mean, you know, if you make $1 million and you're working 300 days a year, you break that down, it's like you made that doing autograph sessions. Sounds like they're working on the arena for tomorrow. I don't want to say anything, but I'm guest general manager. Right now, they're putting a pole in the corner. The reason to buy a ticket at this point is just what kind of fucking glove we're using. It may be a latex surgeon's glove.
I can talk afterwards. Figure something out.
Go, babe, I'm with you.
Loving a pole match. So, first title win, WWE, or not the first title win, but your first world championship, WWF, Madison Square Garden. Was that your first time as Diesel in Madison Square Garden?
No.
Was that a venue you worked? Like,
No, we worked that once a month.
once a month? Really?
Yeah.
That's actually quite surprising.
We worked it once a month back in the day. That was your yeah. Because we only had 4 pay-per-views. So you got to run the garden.
You mean you didn't have a pay-per-view every week?
Every hour. They ran out of so many, they're running Starcade. Like, what? The shitty stuff we use, you know.
Can I ask a question about the title reign?
Yeah, no, that's what we're here for. If anybody's got questions, stick your hand up, we'll get to you.
Champion for a year. Was there a time when you thought, I'm so glad I am champion, and also a time when you thought, don't want to do this?
No, I mean, the pay was structured, you know, that if you're at the top of the card, you got paid more. So, I mean, it was, you know, but at the same time, it was one of those situations where you were on everything. And you did all the PR, and you did, you know. The cool thing was always, you know, I mean, not that it was cool, but I mean, it was as far as just, like being able to do the Make-A-Wish things for the kids, because, you know, the champ does that a lot. You know, even though it's as hard as it is, I mean, that was always something that was just like, if you're gonna be out here, at least make somebody happy. because my match sure as hell ain't doing it in 15 minutes. A lot of people don't realize, like I became the world champion. I hadn't even had 300 matches. And I'm talking about 70 of those on the outside of Scott and Sean. You know, I had no matches. In fact, I came in as Master Blaster. I probably had 8 matches before they shit-canned that. I came in as Oz. That thing got flushed down the toilet. But then I actually, you know, from there, the Oz thing got over in Japan, so I got the chance to go over to Japan and work probably 100 dates. And then Vinny Vegas maybe had 50 matches. And the rest of the shit was just, you know. And then with Sean, the beginning of it was tags, and then finally he got suspended, and they kind of pushed me into the IC spot, and I had four, maybe 5 months in that spot, maybe 4 months back and forth, and then they put the world title on me. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't gonna say no. So.
Did you enjoy it, or did it feel like the same amount of pressure, or what?
You know, it was. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but like, you know, when you were the champion back then, like Vince kind of had, like, you know, like he had your folder. Like nobody else talked to you, nobody else, you know, you were Vince's boy. And I just had some really different ideas of where the business was going, or what people bought and what people didn't buy. I came to the realization that Vince actually believed that what the American people wanted to see was a guy with an American flag in the corner at the end of a match waving it. And he just didn't realize how, you know, anti-hero our culture had become. And then when you get to that point, you're just like, oh fuck, man, this guy don't know. And it's just like, this isn't going to work. So as soon as I found out I was going to lose the title, has anybody ever heard this story of how I was told about this? Because it's kind of a boring story, but he brought me in the office in Stanford and told me that he is working on this idea of having me boxing Mike Tyson in Central Park. And so he goes on and on and on about this thing. And I said, well, what's the payday? He goes, no, we're doing it for charity. I said, I don't mind getting knocked out. I mean, I ain't a lot of problem. You can knock the shit out of me, I mean, but I gotta get paid. You know, I mean, shit, you know, at least 2. Like, give me $2 million, I'll get knocked out. You can have your strap, you can do whatever you want. And then he just switched to that, goes, oh, by the way, you're gonna drop the strap to Brett. And I went, really? You brought me up here and ran all this shit by me for like a half a day? And you could have called me on the phone and said, we're dropping this, you know, you're gonna drop the strap to Brett. Because I mean, Sean was like, was politicking for it so bad, it was Sean's dream. You know, Sean was one of my closest friends. It's just like, shit, I've had it, you know. You take it. See how fun that is. But I mean, I look at Cena, you know, I was talking to someone tonight about it, and we're just, you know, for so long, you know, you'd go to every building and they would just, like, they would chant Cena sucked. That doesn't happen anymore. You know, just through time, and that's Vince did it with Bob Backlund. Like Vince will stick somebody up your ass until you say uncle. And I didn't want to be that guy. You know, I didn't want to, though Roman Reigns and I do look like brothers, when I was Diesel. You know, I didn't want to be that guy that just, and that's not his fault. It's just, you know, gets a notion of a guy and just goes with him. So, and on that note, they're looking for a guy. I still think they're looking for a guy. We all know Spacey's out of work. Get him with Malenko. Get him to do some chain wrestling. You see where I'm going there? Could be interesting. Yeah, I mean, just wristwatch on a pole match. Your hand on my pole match. With a surgical glove. That's how we're going to work that tomorrow. We'll be the first. And don't think he's not on my phone either. He might be here tomorrow. I heard he's not very busy. Just want you guys to know that I'm in no way a homophobe. My sister's gay. She's been married to a wonderful girl for 18 years. So to anybody that's out there that thinks I'm bashing this guy because I'm just bashing because I think our fucking society is absolutely out of their minds. Like they think that this Harvey Weinstein guy, I mean, fucking Hinckley shot Reagan and they let him out of jail. Somebody that's masturbated in a couple of fucking bushes can't be fucking rehabilitated? I mean, I get the whole power. I mean, I'm not for in any way, you know, but Louis C.'s fucking material for fucking the last 15 years has been about him jerking off. Jeez, I mean, you mean he jerked off? Well, fuck, man, that's an eye-opener. Oh, he's a guy. He jerks off, he's a guy? This is one for the ladies. If you want to know that the guy you're dating or married with lies to you or not, just ask him if he masturbates. If he says no, he's a fucking liar. And he's going to lie the rest of his life. Bueller?
Sorry, go ahead.
So you were saying there, obviously you didn't want to be the guy that Vince kind of pushed down everyone's throat. How do you feel kind of about the Brock Lesnar kind of angle where, you know, obviously back when you started, you know, Vince told you were doing 300 dates and Brock's now coming in and going, I'm doing 16 dates and this will do. You know, how do you feel about that?
God bless him if he you know, if he can pull that off, I can pull that off. But I also wasn't a legitimate world champion in UFC. I mean, that's you know, I don't think there's, if you turn that into a shoot tomorrow, I don't think there's anybody that's going to beat Brock Lesnar. I think the line of people that would sign up for that match would probably be about as many people that are sitting on my right-hand side right now. Oh. No, I just, you know, Brock's he's a beast, man. And he's one of those guys, when you look at him, the only person that actually could beat Brock Lesnar is Kurt Angle. I watched him. I watched Kurt and Brock Lesnar wrestle before Raw, and Kurt Angle had him in a knot. They got up, fucking Kurt rolled out. This is when Kurt was, you know, what Kurt wasn't beat like he is now. He was all beat up and everything. Kurt says, "You were the best in the country for a year." He said, "I was the best in the fucking world." Big difference. You have to fucking get Kurt. I would not want fucking, Kurt's too tiny and just, he'd throw me on my head too much. Not tiny me, I mean, he just, you know, he's got that fulcrum where he would just dump me on my skull. So,
Hang on one minute. You've had too much. So go ahead.
Yeah, so just going back to your time moving over to WCW and like that transition period, was there any kind of like time where you kind of thought about what might have happened if you had actually stayed with WWE and done the diesel gimmick?
you know, it was one of those things where it was so nice to get a paycheck every 2 weeks that was an exact amount. Because, you know, like, in order to do anything financial, I mean, how do you know, all of us, like, lived in, like, you know, track homes, like, you know, you couldn't buy a big home because as soon as you bought a big home, then he owned you. You know, so it was like, you know, to me, I like the wrestling business. But the thing is, it's a business. That's what it is. You know, like I said, if you told me when I was 35 years old, I'll give you $1 million and you can be Diesel and you can be the world champion, or I'll give you $2 million and you can cook fries at McDonald's. I'd be like, do I have to wear the hat? I work for money. That's what I work for. I mean, yeah, the pleasure's cool, but fuck, man, you get enough money, you can fucking find some pleasure. Speaking of American Beauty.
Oh man, you just threw me off. What were you talking about? You steer me the right way?
Oh, I was just talking about just the money, the aspect of it being a business. Is that what you want?
Nah, it's gone. That's the only thing I'm focusing on now is Kevin Spacey.
Sorry there, but can I just add on to that question?
Yeah.
So in that case, would you be saying that you think you would have at least enjoyed the wrestling aspect more if you had stayed with WWF?
I think once the Tyson WrestleMania came around, I think they kind of rightened the ship. But in the meantime, all they were doing was basically like they had, you know, the biker gang, and like they just were emulating what we were doing. The thing was that we were doing some cool shit, and the thing that really made me the happiest was we went to it was the Chicago United Center. It was the first time that I'd ever went to a major television taping on a Monday, and there was no matches. The marquee in front of the United Center said Nitro tonight. And I said, fuck yeah. I said, we've branded a show. Now you don't have to sit there and sell this match versus this match, this guy versus this guy. Like it's now become part of pop culture. It's now, it was cool, it was hip. You know, those NWO shirts, man, they were everywhere, and they still sell. Yeah, they still, thank you. No, but they still sell. It was one of those things that, you know, to be a part of that in my career is like, if you ask what's the greatest match or whatever, just being part of that run with the NWO, and people can say, well, yeah, after the 13th year when you added the Latino world, like, dude, most angles don't last 4 weeks on TV. We lasted 2 strong years. 2 strong years. So just like, I don't know. I think we, and there was a lot, there were so many egos in that locker room. You look in that locker room, I forget, I was looking at like the top 15 or 18 guys the other day, and the amount of those guys that are Hall of Fame guys, just like, that's a lot of egos in a room with a limited amount of time and a limited amount of main event time to get all them, cram all their asses in there and get, and kind of keep a semblance of order. I think the fact that they'd done this now with alcohol to the, but that probably helped. But.
Behind you, Chris.
Kev, you're saying there about the whole WWF versus WCW angle at that time. I was lucky enough to be at WrestleMania 31, and we were taken aback whenever DX came out and you guys came out in the NWO during the Triple H Sting match. Now, I know initially the angle itself of that match wasn't billed as WCW versus WWF, but eventually it turned into that. Now, I was always a WWF fan as a kid, and I would watch Triple H week in, week out, but always knew a lot about Sting and how good he was. It was a big deal with him coming into the company for that match. Did you agree with the booking that he lost, or did you think he should have won? Because I was surprised.
It was one of those things with, and I would say this to Steve, to his face. If you're going to show up to your first WrestleMania, could you at least fucking spray tan? I mean, maybe a week out, like say, what's the ticket sales? Oh, we got 82,000 in? Maybe I'll spray tan. Did somebody not tell him that he was like losing his hair? I mean, it's just like, whatever you sprayed in it, did you not realize, like, probably 20 minutes in, you probably were going to look like Bozo? I mean, I love it, but I'm thinking, like, when my shit goes, I'm shaving my shit off. That's it. I'm not playing that spray shit in your hair and, comb over and, how's that look? Dude, you're 70, you're supposed to be bald. No, he didn't train, he didn't tan. And Triple H looks like $1 million and he's in the office. No, that's where that company, that's where you get punished. If you're not smart enough to fucking show up and look like you're a star, they're not gonna let you be a star. And on top of that, name somebody that came over during the war, that came over and won. They killed every one of us. The WrestleMania that we did in Toronto, Scott Hall was supposed to go over on Austin. It was supposed to be that Rock went over on Hogan. Me and Hulk were supposed to come down, and we're going to leave Rock in a bloody pool. You imagine going off WrestleMania with heat? When was the last time they went off of WrestleMania with heat? Never? Could you imagine like just leaving Rock like juiced and us standing over him?
Because I remember when I was a kid and watching it, within a few weeks of that WrestleMania, the NWO had been properly buried.
Oh yeah.
It became a joke with Booker T and Shawn Michaels and all that. NWO.
Well, because what pissed them off was we came back, and at that point Steve was doing the what, which I love Steve to death, but I could kill him for that alone. Because I don't, if you talk with a fast cadence, they can't get you. But if you like kind of meander like I do, they can get you. And the thing was, like, it's easily taken care of, but Vince would never let you say, if you said something, they say, what? I said, well, a deaf guy blew me last night. What? I said a deaf guy blew me last night. What? How long's that gonna go on? But they won't let you kill anything like that, because it's PG, it's not like, so it's like there's nothing you can do except go. And then they started scripting where you couldn't say anything. I'm like, so CM Punk gets to say all this to me and I don't get to say anything? Yes. Okay. I cost the guy the world title. He's up there. LOL. My sisters just text me, LOL, laughing. I thought you were dead. Dude, I just cost you the world title last night, and you're up there walking on the ramp. In my mind that night, I sat there as it went on. I said to myself, I said, what would he do if I said, you know what? Because if you ever watch that back, there's a reference point. He says it's not 2006 or whatever he says. Or 97, that's what he says. It's not 1997. I would have said, yeah, you're right, bitch. It's not 1997. Because in 1997, the marks sat out in the audience. They didn't come down the ramp. Number two, I'm old and beat up, but I'm going to come up there right now. I'm going to kick your ass because you haven't come down here and kicked mine, and you should. So when I get up there, you're going to have two options. You're going to have to either go and show me what you got, which you already did in the octagon. Or you can apologize right now and say, sorry, Mr. Nash, and you go to the back. Well, what would he have done? I'd walked up that ramp. What was he going to do? Fight me? What, if I would have open hand just bitch slapped him, what's he going to do? They're going to sue me? I'd have walked through the thing, they'd have fired me. He'd have been the most over guy in the company. And I'm sitting there grinding this in my mind going, those motherfuckers know that Paul is one of my closest friends. That's their ace in the hole, and always has been. It's like, you know, it's the young Frankenstein. He's up there playing the violin. You take him playing the violin, fuck. I'll go there tomorrow and get over. I mean, it doesn't take much to get over, especially when you got a bunch of fucking followers. Yeah, those guys don't know how to get over. That's why they're not over. If you know how to get over, you can get over. Kick out of their finish right before they're ready to go home, and then tell them to small package it. And see them with their dick in their hand as they're going off. They're going, what? Why did you kick out? Because I want to see if you can work without a net, and you can't. So, does that sound? Is that on? Is that on?
What was your question, Chris?
Right? Are the NWO going into the Hall of Fame this year? Because that's why I'm buying my fucking ticket.
I still think that Hogan's had fucking been Papillon. I think he's on the island. I don't think they've let.
Was it not a cryptic Hogan tweet?
What's that?
Was there not some sort of tweet from Hulk Hogan recently?
Hogan and Bischoff, there's been like a whole conspiracy online.
They're buying TNA. No, I'm just making that up. Don't.
I'm really excited for it.
What's the conspiracy?
There's a few that either they're going to like start their own company or something else, but like there's Hogan, Bischoff, and someone else that have been.
I don't know.
Austin
I just saw a tweet.
It's been kind
Who is it?
of
I don't know. I can't remember. It was a tweet that mentioned Hogan having a cryptic tweet.
Say he got the most exciting news he's got his whole career. It's all on his life.
Nobody knows.
People have rumored that it's going to be a wrong anniversary episode.
That Hogan is?
Well, you're going to be on it. You tell us.
Well, I'm smart enough to set up a knee replacement surgery December 6th. So if that thing swells, maybe it doesn't seem like it might be high enough. Might be watching that motherfucker from the TV room. I'll fast forward through half of it. I wouldn't want to change my Monday ritual.
Yes, mate, go ahead.
Just go back to that lesson that you were talking about, do you think the 8 of these guys
They had a vote, they had a vote to bring us back, and everybody said no, but yet they still brought us back. So, my whole thing is, yeah, we had heat, but what's the heat? Because it wasn't like any of us worked with. The heat was we almost put you out of business. How is that heat? You know? Yeah, like I said though, when our T-shirt outsold the what T-shirt, and Steve is the man, and I'm not talking about. I'm talking about 3-1 outsold it, and then we went to Joe Louis Arena, and left them laying on that Raw before we left. Brock and Austin Lane, and the fucking Joe Louis Arena was on their feet chanting NWO. And then Hogan went to fucking Rosemont and got in Rock's face, and they're saying, well, it'll probably be 80-20 Rock. And it was like 90-10 Hogan. We ran a fucking semi-truck into an ambulance with Rock in it, and the people screamed. Like, fucking, we were over it. And they just said, no, killed them. It had nothing to do with the guys. It was something that Vince didn't create that was stronger than anything he created. If you wanted to kill it off, you could have had like a triple coal miner's glove at WrestleMania.
Welding gloves. Get some welding gloves.
Welding masks. Have the match in welding masks.
Customized NWO welding masks.
No. Beat them with our finishes, then spray NWO on their welding masks.
Sounds pretty tasty. Yes, man.
What would have been the plan if you hadn't got injured in 2002 at the NWO?
Oh, God.
Triple H got joined, or
It was so. The day that I tore my quad, I was coming back off a bike. I wasn't medically cleared. I wasn't even medically cleared to work. I remember looking at Vince. He says, just go out there. I said, dude, this is not people who get hurt. Like I haven't worked. I'm coming off of a torn bicep, and you're putting me in this 6-man match, and I'm standing on the apron for 12 minutes getting a hot tag. Like let's take the biggest guy out there coming off an injury and give him a hot tag. Don't do anything the rest of the match. Don't even break a sweat. Just go out there and fucking take a hot tag, steamboat. I just wish that every time in my mind I said, man, fuck you. I just would have said it. I just would have I knew it was wrong. I just wish I would have said it. But, what are you gonna do?
Brought you here. You're with us.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, shit, I just beats the fuck out of sitting at home.
Do you enjoy, do you much work on the indie circuit? Do you do many appearances?
Yeah,
or?
I do a lot. Yeah, I still love I love the industry. I love the business. And I like this. It's like some nights, like I was just in Warwick, Rhode Island. I saw some tall, 6'4", lanky, young kid that can do all kind of shit. And I was just like, and I pulled him aside. I said, okay, like, he said, he looked at me and said, you watch my match? I said, yeah. And he said, what do you think? I said, here's like 100 things you need to take out. Like he did it was a 8-man, and he got the hot tag, and he did the slap kick in the corner, the high boot. He did like everything to everyone like 9 times. And I said, no, you do like a stinger splash here, you high boot this guy, I said, you did 12 things when you could have done 4. and got them all in, and then they said, you got cut off anyway. I said, well, if you know you're gonna get cut off, don't like use your good shit. You know? It's like that's 101.
Do you think they listen whenever you give them advice? Do you think if you were to go back to that promotion in a year's time, would you?
I hope he doesn't. This leaves the door open for me at 80.
I see another hand over here yet.
So, I don't know if you listened to the Bruce Pritchard, Conrad Thompson podcast, but very recently they had a Bret Hart episode, and Bruce Pritchard alluded to the fact that Sean may have been close to going to WCW. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, we had a deal for him.
What, any details?
I mean, he was going to get, he would have been, Scott and I had that favored nation. So anybody that came in, you had, like, if Sean came in at 2.8, we had to get 2.8. But when
So Brett came in, did you?
we balked, because they couldn't bring in Brett and match it, so we just said, all right, just give us lump sum $400,000 each. That's a pretty sweet deal. When they're that stupid, they're thinking like that this is a deal. Like, fuck, I'm doing the exact same thing, and you're writing me a check for $400,000 because we got another guy that's going to help pull the sled. Well, we were going to do that. We had Taker. We had Taker. We had a deal for him. Why do you think he went from the dead man to the fucking American Badass? You can put a headband on anywhere. You can't put that fucking... It's business. That's why everybody got a guaranteed money up there. They had to do it. And that's why me and Scott will be hated to this forever.
So why didn't Sean go, in your opinion?
It was already starting to go back and forth, the ratings, and I just think that, like, when we left, like, Sean was the champ and we killed him, It wasn't his fault. He did a great job. I mean, every main event he had, but I mean, he was screaming at him, just that visual in my mind of him telling Vader, "Get up, you fat fuck." And that was in the Ramada Inn before the match. No, but Sean was I'm sure. I mean, I guarantee you, Sean could go out and still WrestleMania this year, especially with like AJ. Like him and AJ could go out there, and that would be the match that everybody would want to see, and it would deliver because AJ's that good. So, see, like I should book.
Would you take a job, or is it to like bigger WCW and then the TNA and everything's going on there? WWE. Is there too many writers involved? Is it too hard to?
I've always said that. There's too many writers. Like any sitcom that I've ever done that's like successful, like has like 2 or 3 writers, and then you go to these ones that suck and they've got like 8 writers. And they're rewriting like up until rehearsal on Thursday before you do the dry run. And you're just going, that's way too many. I mean, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. Like, I think that's half the problem with Saturday Night Live. It used to be like there were like 4 or 5 people that just wrote the show, and now it's like everybody puts their tidbit in. Man, there's Saturdays I watch that show. I'm just thinking, I mean, is the CTE that bad that I just don't get it, or is this show that fucking rotten?
Do you think there's this thing going around the business at the moment? Don't do a video more than 60 seconds long. People lose interest, and we've heard it and stuff. It's like, do you think that they're undervaluing and underestimating the audience, or are they focusing to the wrong? Am I now getting old? being in my mid-30s, am I now starting to see a new generation of people who are only wanting 60 seconds, and I'm going, no, you're wrong, or?
You know, I'm an advocate for, if it's good, good is good. You know, 60 seconds, I mean, 60 seconds, well, we live in a very YouTube society now. I mean, it's just, you know, like, I go through my Instagram in the mornings and just see, like, I'll see 5 or 6, you know, clips that are, like, there was one a couple weeks ago, I saw like 3 old men in this, like, fight in the street, you know. One guy hit the one guy and he'd go down, they'd take him ever to get up. I just thought to myself, like, okay, like, that's entertaining. But why is what I watched last night not entertaining? Because these are like, you know, it's a choreographed, because that's real. I think that's the whole thing. I think, you know, like, who believes that, like, I can't believe growing up in Detroit that nobody calls, like, the race card on New Day. It's almost like people doing blackface. With the bootios, I just think it's so non-urban. I mean, it's very like a white, it's like Pootie Tang. You know what I mean? It's like a
Parody.
yeah, it is. It's just, I look at that and those fucking guys are talented. Like give them an edge. You know, like give them some edge. They don't have, like, they're playing horns and shit, like fucking Earth, Wind, and Fire. The fuck is that? And they're like the only black representative, or Titus. Like the black representation on that show is so. If I was, I don't. Maybe that's that show, but it's like a black urban wrestling league.
Yeah, because it seems to be. WWE seems to team their black wrestlers together more and more. They come up together, and is that just observational, or do you think that's a trend, or is that down to just pure representation in the back?
I don't know. I think it's. It's very. I mean, the company's very Republican. You know, they're not. It's not a liberally based company. I mean, you know, Linda's on the fucking, you know, Trump's cabinet. I mean, it's just, you know, it's very Republican. But my thing is, I was watching Vice News the other night. On HBO, they have like that little 30-minute Vice News. And they had 2 guys from Weezer that were on. And they were listening, it was like they listen to music with the headsets on, and they talk about, you know, whether they would buy the music or whatever. And they knew, like, both of them knew who everybody was. They said, "Oh no, man, it's a black dude that was rapping, but it was like really, like the mix was real sweet and everything else." And they were so like, "Oh, that guy's, you know, he's dropping his album the same day we are." He says, "Yeah." The other guy says to him, he says, "Yeah." He says, "That's why we won't open #1." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "It's a hip hop world, man. We're nothing but fucking furniture." And I just thought about that, and I said, it really is, you know, like, it's a very hip hop world, but yet the WWE is like the most un-hip hop, you know, like there's no hip hop in that. Like there's.
That's why numbers are down.
Fucking Weezer can come up with that. Come on, guys.
Weezer rock.
Weezer's fucking sweet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So in WCW, when did you know like NWO's popularity was coming to an end, basically? In your mind, what was that kind of defining moment? Was it shit's right now?
It wasn't so much that it was over. it's just that the thing about Vince McMahon is he's brilliant. So what he did was he just watched us build the Saturn V. Sat there in his office, and we said, well, guys, we're going to the moon tomorrow. And Vince fucking put a spacesuit on and walked over there and fucking opened the door and went, I got it from here. All of a sudden, you know, Stone Cold was, you know, the anti-hero, and, you know, they just lined everything up. So it wasn't that our shit got old as much as it was just the new show in town was hotter. Because that's what they did. They became, you know, they pulled a rubber hand out of Mae West, or Mae, whatever the hell her name is. Yeah, Mark Henry. You know, we had standards in practice. We couldn't even have like two gay guys. We couldn't have Lenny and Lodi. And Lenny and Lodi, the storyline was going to be that they were two gay guys. They kept having these weird feelings, but then they found that the storyline at the end was going to be that they were separated, and they were actually brothers, and that's what the attraction was. Like they kept thinking like it was like, you think what I'm thinking? That's weird. And we just kept this double entendre, that eventually they were going to be brothers. But we could do that. Standards of practice said, no, you can't do that. And they're going the complete opposite way. They got Jenna Jameson on their show with Val Venus. Which would, if I'm 13 years old, which one am I going to watch? Macho Man, Jenna Jameson. Kevin Spacey.
Wolfpack then, because I think that's in my childhood at least really iconic. I was more into WCW growing up. Do you have any stories to share about that?
Well, the thing was about the when there was the two factions when we split. Is there a place to like take a pee-pee around here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mile away though.
Is your wine bottle empty?
Huh? Could you ask those guys building a ring to run a catheter? When we separated into somebody has a red and white. He's got a red and white shirt on. Don't you?
Yeah.
Damn right he does. Yes. So when we made that, you know, the split between the Wolfpack and the black and white, they immediately took a hold of Scott Hall. Scott would have never not came with me. That's bullshit. Like immediately, well, we need a cool guy. And that was the whole thing. It was like it was the American Civil War. The lines were drawn, yet there was never the battle. The NWO, the Hogan's group, never fought my group, and that killed it. Because then once they didn't want to do that because they knew that their shit would suck, and everybody would jump on board ours, then we had to put us back together, which was Finger Poke of Doom, which was, but I still think the Finger Poke of Doom was some sweet shit, because it fucking, you're talking about 45,000 people going, like that's one of those got yous, and if there's nobody in that building can say, oh, I saw that coming. So. And I'll take complete blame for that. Because that next Wednesday, I got a paycheck, and it was for the exact same amount as the Wednesday before.
Did you watch Blair's 30 on 30?
Yes.
What was your opinion on it?
Tragic. I don't understand how these guys, like when Scott did his, like there's only two stories in sports. You either are at the king of the mountain and you end up at the bottom, or you're the king of the mountain and you end up at the bottom and you have a resurrection. But it's always, there's no, LeBron James 30 for 30, what's that going to be about? Came out of high school, was the greatest player until he got done. Unless he hits somebody on a bike in the next couple of weeks and kills them. I mean, there's not going to be, it's just, but it's the truth, right? I mean, there's no yin to the yang. It's just pure, just good. And that's like, I saw the thing on Rick and I was just like, whew. You know, for me to have my kids sit there and say, yeah, my dad was a shit fucking dad. Then me turn around and go, but I was having fucking fun. I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
Have you spoken to Blair since he's been sick? 'Cause, like, when we heard the news, we all thought, I thought he was gonna die.
I thought he was gonna die. I thought from talking to this girl he was gonna die.
So we're gonna go for another 20 minutes or so. So this is your opportunity to raise your hand and ask WWE legend, founding member of the NWO, Kevin Nash, a fucking question. Leah, no, even too many.
Hi.
Is there anybody right now in WWE or outside WWE that basically who do you think is the best in business right now, both in WWE and not in WWE?
Best of the business.
All rounder, like not just can wrestle, not just can talk, just perfect, like all around.
Even though he's been around for a long time, I think Randy Orton, I mean, he can promo, he can work, but there's nobody new, you know, there's nobody I look at and I say, like, wow, like, that guy will be around for 10 or 12 years. There's not that, I don't see that guy right now. But then again, I didn't see that with John Cena. And here it is 12 years later, and you're like, so it's so weird. I always equated like when WCW died and TNA was never really, I think for a little while we gave them a little bit of a push. We were doing like a 2-6, 2-7. Main Event Mafia was kind of, it got hot. Then Booker went back to WWE and they broke us up. Oh, I know why, because they actually got a real black guy. So, I love Booker. So, but like, I really equate it right now that if there was only Chevrolet, you know, if there was only Chevrolet, like how good of a car do you think Chevrolet would build? Because you have no other choice. You drive a fucking Chevy or you walk. And that's kind of where we're at. You know, there's just no competition for them. Competition always is going to push the product. And until somebody come, you know, when you were saying about the Bischoff thing and Hogan, it'd be great if there was some competition, but the problem is, with the NXT, they've basically got all the talent. The guys are working for NXT for $75,000 a year. I mean, I'd be flipping burgers for $75,000 and selling weed. Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna make $75,000 flipping burgers. I'm selling a little, but I'm not selling indica, just sativa. I want my people smart. You know, like I look at like when I broke in, if you weren't super over in 3 to 5 years, you weren't over. You weren't gonna make that like what's going to push. How long has Shield been around? 5, 6 years, right? And they're over, but they're not like you don't say, you know, then Undertaker, then of course Shield. You know, they're over. I don't know. I think Ambrose hurts the other two. I think his work's just spotty, and that's coming from me. You don't hear me jab anybody's fucking work. But you know what? You got it. That was the one thing about Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's transition, his punches and his kicks between what he did just looked, they were sloppy, that was a punch, you know, that to me, the difference with Shawn Michaels, that would stop and, you know, throw a good punch, a good kick, and then do his shit. I mean, but you've got to have that believability. I have to watch you and say, that guy could hurt me. If I look at you and I don't think you can like that, then it's, why am I watching it? I have to tell you who I'd really like to watch, and I really think is underrated, is Samoa Joe. You know, and I knew he would be a great man. I knew when they brought him up there, I said to Paul, I said, think about him with Brock. And that was a hell of a match. It was believable. You know, of all the guys that Lesnar's worked with, I think that, you know, he's really probably had some of the better matches with him. It's on a believability standpoint.
And the TNA promo, that's all good.
What's that?
The Samoa Joe and the TNA promo.
No, it wasn't at that point, but I mean, that's like anything else, you know, you learn in life.
That was a legit shoot.
Yeah.
He went into business for himself. That wasn't, so like, because I've actually watched it. There's a part where you go over, it must be difficult in the six-sided ring as well to look disappointed on the rope, because you don't have so much rope and it's not straight. But you do walk back over to the far side and the camera catches your face, and that's real.
Well, I was hot. When he said there's other guys that are here just to collect their retirement, I'm thinking, collect their retirement? You think I'm out here for this fucking little bit of money? That's like the rumor came out that QnA and a couple other guys put out that I was sleeping with Dixie. Let me tell you something. I was sleeping with Dixie Carter. I'd be 4-time TNA world champion. And have about another 3.5 in the bank.
Peter Brogan.
Kevin, you talk about believability on offense. Would you tell the same thing you just said about Dean Ambrose to Shane McMahon?
I mean, you mean again?
Oh, you're right, Al.
Oh,
It's just because, you know...
that shuffle punch shit, if he did that to me, I'd just say, watch the knee.
I'm glad that you told him.
No, I just said this, uncle. But that's also a guy that comes back, you know, it's like he comes and has a match once every 9 months, gets to do whatever the fuck he wants to do, and then if he you know, gets a ruptured appendix or a punctured lung or whatever, he's worth probably $30 to $50 million. He doesn't have to be in Sheboygan the next night. You know, I've always said that the worst thing on earth that ever happened to our business was Mick Foley's match with Undertaker, because it took a work and made it a shoot. You know, it turned the boys into stunt guys. We didn't have broken necks. We didn't have none of that shit. Until German suplexes came in, until that Hell in a Cell match, we didn't have guys getting hurt like that, because guys, it was the beauty of what we did was that you could do it every night. And go to, the key is to go to the ring and leave the ring the same way. That's the art. Beating each other with kendo sticks for fucking 45 minutes. If there's art there, I don't see it. You know, it's, you know, it's something that you might do if you're into that kind of kink. Not that I know anything about that. I Googled that earlier.
You mentioned Samoa Joe was being underrated. Do you see overrated wrestlers you work with? And the second part of here, those difficult wrestlers you work with?
Goldberg was really difficult, like when he first broke in, because he had the look, he had the pedigree of an ex-NFL player, and they fast-tracked him. And I guess, he was Bill was into that mixed martial arts before, like most of the guys were. But I guess nobody told him that just because that glove that you're hitting with, that striking the guy with, doesn't hurt your hand as much, it still hurts my head. I'd get 3 to 4 live rounds with him every night. That's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to go out there without a mouth guard in and knowing that you got to work the whole match like this just so you don't bite your tongue because it's like, ugh, fuck, what you doing? And again, that's why they make Cialis. What?
What was it? Let's go to the back.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, do you think that Vince has lost it? Because looking at this weekend, I'm more excited about the NXT show than the Survivor Series. Do you think it's time maybe for Triple H to be the one?
He's not as hands-on as he was. He rarely has a lot to do with SmackDowns now. So, they've gotten away, to me, it used to be Survivor Series was 3 or 4, there was 3, maybe 4 Survivor Series matches, and then the main event would be the World Championship match. Now it's kind of Raw versus SmackDown and a bunch of bullshit. So you took the whole blueprint of what Survivor Series was, made it one match. It's but what's your alternative? And then on top of that, you sell it for $10 a month. So I'm paying 30 cents for it. I'm paying 30 cents for it, 33 cents. As I am, the day after it when I, watch Vern Gagne best of. You know what I mean? It's so. When I watched the McGregor Mayweather fight, and I watched the hype and the build-up and the interviews, and then I watched the actual bout. I'm like, how can you possibly give away WrestleMania? Of anything else, just do for the network. Do a really great pre-WrestleMania show for 2 hours, and maybe do the first hour for free on the network. But after that, man, $59.99, makes that. You should have to pay something that loses so much of what WrestleMania was to make it that epic. Now it's just another thing on the network that I ran home last year because I was in Orlando and I had my shoulder done. I said, man, I'm going home my TV room. I'm going to put on my 80-inch TV and I'm going to watch it, on my smart TV. And I had audio glitches for the first hour and a half of the show. And I was just like, God, we didn't have that before. So I don't think Vince is always he might not be the hippest guy, because that's what we used to always tell him. When was the last time you paid a room service guy $100 for a 12-pack? He'd be like, what? Yeah. You're wasted in your room. You want 12 more beers. You make the guy go down. And you give him $100 and he goes downstairs, puts his job on the line and comes up with 12 beers and brings them to your room. Ever? That's it's, when he doesn't even, I wonder when the last time Vince bought a gallon of milk. Can you imagine? He doesn't, I don't think and that's living in that wrestling bubble. You know, we used to always say that, you know, this is when you live in the wrestling bubble and you're like this. You say, what do you see? And you go, I see blue and green. Okay, step back 12 feet. Oh, that's Monet's water lilies. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to be able to step back from it sometimes to see what the fuck you're looking at. And they don't do it, you know? And when you're in the business like I was, you don't do it. I watch back shit that I did 20 years ago and I'm like, ugh, God, if I had that to do over. But you just, like I said though, there's no competition, so why, if you're gonna watch pro wrestling, where are you gonna watch it? Now, hopefully here tomorrow night, hopefully in Glasgow the next night. I mean, that's my whole thing right now is, I don't know if you guys saw the Swagger thing. Swagger said that, you know, that you go out and support independent wrestling. Because there's some really good independent wrestling out there. I mean, if you don't support it, then it's going to die, and if it dies, the guys aren't going to learn. There's not going to be any place else to work, and there won't be anybody that'll be able to put $200-300 million together and put together a competitive, you know, program. But
just on that point, actually, there's been a few different interviews with the likes of Daniel Bryan and such where they were saying that in the indies, if you're actually doing well enough in wrestling competitively enough, you can actually make near enough more on the indies than you would say on a standard NXT contract or something like that. Do you think that the competition, especially with the likes of ROH and New Japan, really starting to boom now?
ROH's production is so shitty. You know, like I try to watch a show, but it doesn't catch me. It's like kind of like that Billy Corrigan thing that he was putting a Dreamwave or whatever they had for a while out of Chicago. But unless like the Young Bucks or something like that around, like unless they've got name indie guys, you know, then I'm gonna watch on a special show. But like Austin Aries, like he left, and he said he made more in 6 weeks than he made in 6 months prior to NXT. You know, going back on the indie circuit. So definitely, you know, there's money to be made on the indie circuit.
Sorry, just to add on to that, would you say that potential competition could start to hurt WWE in years if they don't start to develop?
No. I just don't see that when you want, like, you know, I was with them when we had 2 trucks in the back. You go to an event now, like Survivor Series. I mean, it's like the Rolling Stones, U2, I mean, it's like there's 8. It would be like 8 of the all-time greatest drawing bands have showed up, and you know, and New York's going to drop acid and open up with Radiohead. You know, it's that kind of a thing. It's just like that show is, and the production is amazing. That WrestleMania live from Dallas, Undertaker's opening was just like I'm an old man and I've got chills. I couldn't even imagine walking down that ramp. You know, like WrestleMania's went from a 12,000 seat arena to, we had the last one in Orlando, and the numbers just came out. It brought $197 million to the city of Orlando. It's the largest event that's ever brought money to that city. Granted, it's, you know, it's a week-long event, but it's on par with having a Super Bowl in your city. So, you know, when you look at what, I mean, we all, because we're fans of the business and of the entertainment, we're always very, because no matter what, as we get older, there's a reason why, like, Santa Claus still's cool. Because when you were 5 years old, Santa Claus was a shit. Because you believed that Santa Claus was a real dude. So of course, Santa Claus at 5 years old is always going to be Santa Claus at 5 years old. Santa Claus at 5 years old is not Santa Claus at 30 years old. I think that's how the business goes. As you get older and you get a broader spectrum of things that become part of your entertainment world, but you still want this to be what it was to you. Because that's, I don't give a fuck about the guy next to me when I'm in the arena. I want the experience to be what it was when I was 8 years old. You know, when the Sheik got Dick the Bruiser and got the spike and busted him open in the cage at Cobo Hall in Detroit. I want to feel that. I want to see this little tiny guy that's the original Sheik that in real life's about the size of that wine bottle. I think he's 7 feet tall, and I think he's underneath my bed. Because I just watched him come back to underneath me, close to the curtain, look up, and all I could see is his eyes through this crimson mask of red. And just like, that's what I remember, you know, as my childhood as in professional wrestling. So I think you just have to kind of sometimes look at it from that perspective as we all get older. You know, we've all seen kind of the glory days of wrestling. I don't think it'll ever come back to that. And it is what it is, and I think we just got to try to find the good in it and not get so, because I'm so bitter, and it's just like, fuck, I'm rich. I live on the fucking ocean. Everything I have is because of pro wrestling. Yet I'm bitter because it's not what I want it to be. Who the fuck am I? Just one guy. I'm paying $10 the same as everybody else in this room. Not paying 11, not paying 12, not paying 8, paying the same as everybody else. So, you know, it is what it is, and until something drastically comes along, well, I don't know. I'd love for somebody to come up with an idea. I know one thing, they always say that, the pro wrestler always says this, I wish I'd win the lottery and win $250 million. I'd open my own wrestling company and go out of business. Go broke, because that's what you do. Because that's what everybody does. The only one that's around is one. And his name's McMahon. So we all, you know, might not be in love with the product right now, but I promise you this. Paul's got a very, Paul's got a very good mind. Paul's not a blue blood. Paul's not, though Paul lives the life now, he hasn't lost his path. He knows where he still sees Santa at 5. And when he gets the chance, I think when he gets to make that product his product, I think we'll all be a lot happier.
Good.
And you touched on the Sasha Banks and Bailey match with the takeover. I really think that women's wrestling has come a long way over the last 2 years. And I know that they're tagging in the women's revolution and things like that. And especially with all the talk about the first women's rumble or the four horsewomen of the UFC and four horsewomen of WWE. Like, where do you think it can go? Seeing some of the wrestling further, you know, I know that Charlotte and Sasha had their Hell in a Cell match, and you know, there's a lot of buzz about it.
Well, my whole thing is when you've got programming like they have, okay, they're always looking for original content. Why can't I just have a girl? Why can't I have a woman's show? Why do I have to watch one woman's show in 3 hours, one woman's match that maybe lasts 12 minutes in 3 hours? They don't have a problem having the Diva show on entertainment TV for an hour. You know, I mean, but why can't I, you know, especially if what if I'm an 11-year-old girl? And I want to be a pro wrestler, or I want to be a woman pro wrestler. And I have to sit through a bunch of shit to watch my one women's match. Like, why can't they put together, it's their network. Like, why can't they put together, give me an hour? Like, my whole thing is, why can't we have a Raw show that can't be taped? I'm sure there's some kind of way that you can cryptically not be able to have it taped or fed or whatever, and have an actual Raw show come on Friday. Because I don't know about you guys, but when two guys look at each other and say, I'm going to beat your butt, yeah, I'm going to beat your butt, and I drive by the school bus, and I see the third graders saying, you know, fuck you, I'll kick you. I mean, it's kind of bullshit. I mean, we know where life is. We know what our socialization process. If you don't think, you know, the American and the world, I just look at America because from where I grew up toward this orangutan we've got in office now. I mean, I just see the moral, just the divide and everything else is just like, you know, you guys are the only like ally we really have, you know, because you like the UK has always been, you know, the one ally that, I mean, yeah, Canada's your ally, but fuck, they got 2 tanks. Sorry, honey, I'm just telling you how it is. I mean, shit goes down if I can. It's always. I mean, and the Australians get in there too, but I mean, it's just like, I think we put a lot of pressure on you guys right now, you know? I don't know. I'm going on a tangent here, but I just don't like that fucking guy.
Could be worse, you could have Arlene Foster. R1.
We're not allowed to gamble on a Sunday. We're not allowed to, what else we're only allowed to play sport. No strip joints. You're not allowed to drink. No gay marriage. We're not allowed to drink past 11 o'clock in the pub or past 2 o'clock at all.
You can get a boiler though.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, they're very. They have very Christian morals. While they live in their skeletons and their.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I'm very Bill Maher on that whole thing. I just, you know, I just see that, you know, the famine and the you know, like we had that shooting the other day in Texas. And it was like one of those shootings where it was the first time I've ever seen like, a mass shooting and the guy killed all 8 members of the family, you know, in that church. I'm like, that kind of, like, shouldn't there be some kind of protection in a church that you wouldn't have like 8 people in your family get killed? Like it,
That's what it is.
yeah, it's what a ruthless. You guys don't have that here. We don't have
guns.
Yeah, but it's every day. It's every day. It's like you can't even keep up with the mass shootings. Yet I can go out tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but when I get home, I go buy 10 AR-15s. I mean, and it's just like my buddy says to me. He says, "Why do you have so many guns?" I said, well, because I know that most of the guys on the beach don't have any. And if shit ever goes down, whatever I don't have, I can get. Because I got the guns. You know, it's just like, that's like the mentality. It's just fucked up. Why would you need an assault rifle?
We get ID'd for a knife over here.
Huh?
Get ID'd for a knife. You need a bum bag, you need a fanny pack.
I think we need anarchy. That's what we need.
The Purge.
I got fucking those hurricane shutters, so I might be able to ride that bitch out.
We're going to close up pretty soon, so is there anything else anybody wants to ask? Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, don't condemn Hogan, but what's your relationship with him at the moment?
Oh, we're solid. We've been, he and I, when we went back, and it was kind of the three of us against the locker room, that was, you know, because I don't think anybody ever had Hogan's back before, and he realized Scott and I had his, and we knew he had ours. I mean, he was, we really have been able to, because we've all been through a lot of shit together, just sit in a room and just put all the shit aside and just, you know, I think there's very few people that he has let his guard down around. I think he has with Scott and I. I think I know the real guy. Yeah, just when all that shit came down with the racial slurs and all that, it's just like, you don't go up and down the road with a guy and buy beer in the hood in Baltimore and just do the things that you do and never hear him make a racial slur. It would come out. Because we're white guys. It's not like we're like me and Scott are black guys. We might have our bandanas tied like Tupac back in the day, but we were still white boys. And I mean, it was like, you know, I never heard that man say anything derogatory. It's just, I think the situation with his daughter and the guy was taking money from her, and I think it just became that one of those, and he got set up by that Bubba the Love Sponge. You know, I just am so glad that, you know, that he got out of it with you know, in the situation he did, because if that was me, I think I'd be doing probably life right now, because I'd have killed that motherfucker. If he set me up like that, I'd kill him. Or at least had somebody kill him for me. Be in Costa Rica, masturbating. Because I don't lie. See, I'm not a liar.
Go ahead.
From nipple problems in The Longest Yard, yeah, to Magic Mike, any fun movie stories?
Shredder. Tell us how much you hated being Shredder.
Shredder was my first movie.
Yeah, I've got it written down to the top of this. This is movie page here.
Has anybody watched Living the Dream? Have you watched it? Anybody else? I did on Sky One, I did a comedy show this past summer.
Oh, it's just starting here.
It's only 2 episodes in.
It's 2 episodes in. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for watching it. I was hoping to get picked up for another 12 episodes. Boy. Longest Yard was fun. The only thing that was really strange about Longest Yard, bless you, was there were no girls on set. And we shot it in a prison in Santa Fe. It was like, and I'm like, 3 or 4 days into it, like the morale was starting to sink, and Sandler went out and brought in like the hottest cheerleaders, and they cheered during like the movie, and they weren't in the movie. They like not. They just we have to have some, you know, like Cloris Leachman came in and shot like for 2 days. That was like, you know, that was the woman on set. Where it was like, you're talking about alcohol. It was like the greatest thing ever was the build up to the. We were there for about a week in Santa Fe, and then Burt Reynolds came. And everybody wanted to, you know, everybody wanted to hear the Burt Reynolds stories, because if anybody had a run back in the day, Burt Reynolds had a run. So that was the whole thing. So it was a very different movie, but Sandler was cool because Sandler shoots one shot of like what's on the script, and then he'll shoot 8 shots, and just everybody gets to do what they want to do. So it was kind of fun because I had maybe 3 lines in the whole movie on the original script, and then I just pissed off and
They cry onto the crying. My wife.
none of those were the nipples isn't in the script. None of that stuff. So that's all me.
So you say to Steve Austin, you don't need to be so mean.
Yeah. That was fun. That was fun. They just played that. They played that on Sky. They played that on Sky right before my show played. Like I saw it on Twitter. I thought.
Not watching.
What's that? Bagwell and I have a wrestling match. I think it's episode 3. I think it was last Thursday. Or yesterday.
We can get after the media guys. We can get a copy of that to play before the show tomorrow.
I'll bring Buff in. As the late Chief Jay Strombo said, Big D, you can have that match in an iron lung. Bagwell was beat up. Bagwell's beat up.
Yeah. I seen on one of your shoots, I want to know this straight. Did John Travolta make a pass at you on the 7-point?
Yes, he did.
Like for real, like proper pass.
I mean, he didn't, like, put his hands down my pants or anything like that, but
Kevin
maybe-
Spacey.
is that what he did? See, I've got you milked into it now.
I gave up last Thursday.
No, he did. No, the first day he saw me, he came up and rubbed my shoulders and said I was a big one. While I was sitting in the makeup chair. And I've told the story 100 times, and people think I'm gay bashing. I'm like, no, I'm not gay, but if John Travolta hits on you, I mean, there was 4 other. He could hit on Ben Foster, and he didn't. Picked me, so Oh, well, I told my buddy that. I said, dude, so we go to the premiere, and I'm just going to walk the red carpet, and then from there I'm going right to Jimmy Kimmel. So I don't get to see the movie, but I'm going to go to the after party. And as we go through the red carpet, and the limo's sitting there, and I said, and my sister loved John Travolta growing up. Imagine that. My sister's gay, and John Travolta's her choice of actors. Second to Kevin Spacey. But, and I said to my man, I said, can I get a picture with you? My sister's a huge fan of yours. He says, sure. So I do the guy thing, you go high up on the shoulder. He goes low on my waist like it's a prom date. And my buddy's taking the picture, and I see him looking through the camera. I can see his face just go. He takes it and he gives me back and he says, okay. He goes, you gonna be at the after party? He says, Kelly wants to talk to you, which is his wife. So I'm like, yeah, we'll be there. So we get in the limo, and my buddy Vince goes, what the fuck? What was that? He went low? I said, dude, I told you, man. He went low on me. Thank God I wasn't hired to be his masseuse. Well, the thing is that him and his wife, Kelly Preston, have an arrangement, and she comes on at you strong at the after party, and John won't care. He's just going to be playing the part of Mr. Ryman from American Gigolo. You don't mind if I watch, do you? Yeah, I do. Oy. Interesting life.
Do you end up in much like celebrity circle parties, all those sorts of?
I've been in enough where I know I don't want to go to any.
I have a personal question I want to ask you. Not a personal question, Mike, but Magic Mike, and particularly this is seriously Magic Mike XXL. The scene on the bus where you're all taking Molly. Had you sat down to discuss how you guys were going to play that out, or is that just because you've all taken enough drugs to know how to do it?
Well, you notice I
This is not gonna make all the mad. This is for
you
me
notice
personally.
I don't take any because I'm driving. I said no, not for me. Because I knew that I'd steal that scene.
Give me my fanny pack.
Oh, gee. I was taking that shit when we called it beaners. Do you remember when they called it beaners?
Oh.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, you could actually buy it in the head shops in college. Like you could buy Molly just, I mean, over the counter. And I mean, it was like pure. It was.
Fuck, I miss the 80s.
70s.
70s.
Mid 70s, Jesus. No, it was the late 70s.
But yeah, no, I particularly enjoyed that scene. It was very well shot.
And you
It was very real.
no, I mean, it's funny because like Joe, who doesn't do drugs, has been sober forever.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's great. So,
did you find that you get like the types of the Magic Mike sort of fans? Because I was trying to pitch the show to a beautician friend of mine. She's like, I'm like Tarzan from Magic Mike. She's like, oh really? I'll come and see him.
That's sweet.
So do you find that you get women showing up for signings and stuff?
Absolutely. It's even today. I walked through two flight attendants from British Airways. One of the girls said, "How's your day going, Troy?" And I looked at her because if you'd watched the fucking show, my name is Troy Marshall in it. But it was actually nice to come over here and you know. To be on TV over here and like to be known only that lady had no idea who I was. She just knew I was that guy from that show that she watched the other night, which is always cool.
That's why you keep doing it.
Yeah. Like the thing about me is like I don't look anything like Tarzan because especially in the second one because they put like a yak wig on me or something.
I was going to ask, was it fun having the mullet back?
That's rotten. I don't understand why they didn't just shave my head and like give me a proper wig instead of that like whatever the fuck it was. My idea was this: my hair was kind of long at the time, but it was gray, and I said, well, this is supposed to be like 3 years later. I said, why don't I just dread my gray hair? And then we could add some dreads to it, because Tarzan, you could pull I wanted to be gray. I didn't want to have to dye my shit. As soon as you dye your shit, then you got to cut it all off. Because I'm not dyeing my, I don't want to dye my, it's just.
Time's gone.
Yeah, it's like, once you can get Googled in life, and people will be like, God, his hair kind of looks like it's dyed. Motherfucker was born in 59? Like, yeah, you probably wouldn't have gray hair at 58. But
Fancy telling Steven Seagal that. He needs to.
God, man. Do you remember, remember his first movie was Above the Law? Yeah, remember that? But then remember when he ran? And you were like, okay, dude, never run again. Now he goes in and makes like bank. He makes like $200,000 for like 5 days work. And they shoot him from like here up. And I've nothing. He does nothing. He has this guy that's like 35, 40 pounds lighter than him doing his double work.
It's even better.
Oh, but it's so B-rotten that it's great. I watched like who's seen the Universal Soldier like 2012 one?
Yeah.
Where like Lundgren came in like in shape, and like Van didn't get the memo. He stinged it. He did.
Is that your favorite Steven Seagal? Yeah,
It's gotta be. I mean, because after that, I mean, it was like it was like the stock market in 08, it just fucking plummeted. There was no bottom to it. The one he did with his Kelly LeBrock, what was that one? It was like, no, not the, it was like, he was out on a ranch, there was like a scene in a Jeep. It was kind of like, I think it was his second film. Yeah. What do you like? Do you like shitty movies like me? Either that or you're an insomniac like me. I go on those, like today I got on the Delta thing and I went to all movies. It's like, fuck, besides like the ones that like the kids watch now, like the Penguin and Kung Fu Panda. I'd seen every fucking thing on there. I'm like, I've seen that shit thing. I've seen that. God, I've watched that 3 times. Or the documentaries, I've seen that. I've seen, God. I'm like, God, do I have no life, do I?
They usually have Game of Thrones on the Delta flights. Do they have anything of Game of Thrones on it?
No, but I watch all those. That's like crack heroin on a Sunday.
Do they film a lot of it here?
Yeah.
How did we bring WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash, find a member of the NWO over to tell him, hey, there's Game of Thrones on your Delta flight? It's madness. What happened?
That's a great show.
Oh, it's a great show.
And they pay the 6 leads in that all make $500,000 an episode.
Do you want to know an interesting fact about Game of Thrones? That part of the building here, S13, they have a props lab, and they do a lot of the set builds for Game of Thrones. So the wooden seating that we've had in our arena the last couple of times is actually part of the Game of Thrones set. So it's technically you're part of Game of Thrones tomorrow.
Is it the wall? We're actually at the wall, aren't we?
Yeah, we're at the wall. It is noticed genuine Game of Thrones.
I'm so pissed about the finish of this. Okay, so the dragon. What do you mean you haven't seen it? At this point, it's not a teaser. It's information. So this is my question. So they pull the dragon out of the ice, and it's dead, right? But the guy awakens it, and his eyes are blue. All right. Well, when they did it with the polar bear or whatever the fuck it was, it didn't have superpower strengths. It was just a little bit, but not,
That's why over there, they'll show you that.
But they're ice. But the thing is, they're ice creatures.
They're Eve, like there's Eve dragons, like there's Eve dragons and Eve.
But how the fuck did the ice dragon shoot?
Blue fire?
Yeah.
Was it not ice?
It wasn't ice, it was blue fire, and there was a couple of
it's
a
ice.
thing about people go.
They're ice walkers. You can't knock down an ice wall with it. It's like
It's magical blue fire, according to the director.
Such a bullshit.
Having an argument with Kevin Nash about a dragon. I'm so happy right now. I started this day shitting my pants. I was like, holy fuck, I'm going to sit beside Kevin Nash. And now we're talking about what color flames a dragon should.
Oh, but I mean, it was, I said I was pissed, and then that was it. Like, that was the finish. I'm just like,
Are you not more pissed off that Jax killed himself than the Sons of Anarchy? Hey, it's information at this time. It's information at this point. Kevin Nash said it. He's the king. It's not a spoiler. It's information.
I'll freak out.
Games of Thrones. That was
Finished 3 years ago.
Not Game of Thrones, someone else season 5 with Sons. No, I'll break out, no, please. I'll just start crying.
So I shouldn't tell you anything about Godfather 2?
Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody have any more questions for Kevin?
She looks like Nab Campbell. She looks like Nab Campbell. You don't think so? Anyone? You know who Nab Campbell is?
Yeah.
Wild Things. Do you not think that girl looks like Nab Campbell? You do. Get it? You know what? I lied about your hair earlier. How is that not your type? She's beautiful. All right, never mind. Must be the wine kicking in. Or the Game of Thrones.
So, a few quick questions before we go. Best wrestler of all time?
Best wrestler of all time.
Can't say yourself.
I wouldn't have. I mean, best or greatest?
Best and greatest.
Best wrestler of all time, I think, is Shawn Michaels. Greatest wrestler of all time is Hulk Hogan.
Worst gimmick of all time?
I can't mention myself?
Nope.
Minotaur.
The best gimmick of all time?
The best gimmick of all time. Goldust.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, Undertaker, but Goldust is like, he's still doing it.
Yeah. So good.
In honor of Turd Ferguson, the best/worst mascot?
Ralphus.
Any reason why?
Kind of reminded me of a fat Kevin Spacey.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll leave it there. Mr. Kevin Nash, thank you very much for coming.